So how many of us find ourselves getting angry on a regular basis? You know, whether it be driving in traffic or even misplacing our car keys, something as simple as that. You know, anger is a very negative emotion, and you know, we become irritable, but it has the potential to cause so many problems in our lives. And it is a very valid emotion, and it can bring out both positive and negative emotions. But most times, you know, we see the ugly side of anger. And today, what I want to talk about is, rather than expressing your anger forthright, I think it would be much better to suppress your anger and control it as well. But first, I want to talk about why we get angry in the first place. So I've come up with 3 reasons why we become angry. And the first reason is that we have a generalization of triggers, which essentially that there are specific times and reasons that we get angry, whether it be, you know, like my last example, driving in traffic. It's a very specific reason that it happens. It can be very, when your plans get interrupted, you know, when you're driving, and you just expect a clear road, and here you come across some traffic, and you're very angry and very, you know, just like, what's going on? This shouldn't be happening. And that can cause anger as well. The second reason is when someone, you know, fails to keep a promise, you know, they don't meet your expectations. This can happen, this just happens, you know, just sometimes we ask someone to, you know, bring us something from, you know, get something from the store, but they forget, and you get angry at them. And the third reason is high stress levels. Most of our days, you know, we're students, we go to school, we have work, we have schoolwork, we have to study, and the stress can build up oftentimes. And sometimes we just, you know, we don't even know. Sometimes we might explode on someone just out of nowhere. And sometimes I know that, you know, my parents, you know, they have, you know, someone just out of nowhere, they get mad at me. I'm just like, what did I do? But, you know, but we realize that stress can build up. It can build up, and, you know, there's always a breaking point, and that's when people can get angry at you. Now, what I want to talk about next is what are the negative impacts of anger on you and even others as well. Now, the first reason is irrational thinking. When you're very angry, it is a very personal emotion that you feel. And oftentimes when you get mad, you're always just thinking, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that. Why did they do this? Why did they do that? And so you tend to act out of that anger, and it can result in very negative consequences. And what can happen if you act on anger is guilt. And guilt can result from obviously not taking a step back and acting out of your emotions. And the third reason is that anger can rub off on other people. Now, anger has that some people, well, when you get angry at someone, they feel very offended. Sometimes they can feel just so shocked that you would explode on them, and they don't know how to retaliate, so they just get angry at you as well. And it can be a very vicious cycle where you're just arguing at each other, yelling at each other, and you don't even really know why sometimes. And another reason is anger can also lead to physical and verbal abuse. There are relationships where there can be physical and verbal abuse because of anger, as that it can lead to those things, and also it can lead to relationship breakups. It can lead to a lot of problems within relationships. Another reason is it can also lead to physical pain. What anger does is it causes your muscles to contract, and you feel very tense, and you don't feel very relaxed, and it can cause back pain and just a lot of other things, neck pain and all those things. Another reason is ulcers. When you have a lot of stress, it builds up a lot of hydrochloric acid. It can eat away the stomach membranes, and so it causes, you know, a lot of stomach problems, gastrovascular problems, and it can also cause cardiovascular problems such as hypertension and blood pressure, which can lead to you know, heart disease, and also it also increases your cortisol, which it delays your healing response. So, And now that you know what it does, so how can we learn to control anger? Now first, you can express anger. Now what I mean by expressing anger is not necessarily acting out of the emotion, but rather simply stating your anger. And with an example, a parent and a child. A child might forget to clean up their toys, after playing with them. And a parent might be very angry because the parent might have hurt her foot from stepping on a very sharp toy. And now the parent can either yell at their child and say, "Why didn't you clean up your toys?" Or they can simply say, "I am disappointed that you didn't clean up your toys, and just know that I'm very angry at you, but just clean up your toys and I'll be okay with it." And that way it is more constructive, and the child will learn to understand why you are angry, and it won't be as scary or as unconstructive. And second, there are ways to cope with it. When we get stressed out, there are ways that we just burn off the stress. We can exercise, we can listen to music, we can dance, we can even talk to somebody. By talking to someone, you can always get a second opinion. And it's hard to see things from the outside in when you only have one side of the story, which is your own story. And another thing you can do is just stop and think. Just take a couple steps back and just think, why am I angry? Or what did this person do? And so, in conclusion, anger is a very negative emotion, and it has the potential to be very destructive. And I want to say that it can become a habit. It can become a very big habit, and it can become hard to control. And I just hope that next time, if you ever get angry at someone, that you think about the consequences, and you might just prevent losing a friend. So that is all. Thank you very much.
Who did we give the oral evaluation to on this? Oh, okay. Here we go, Kathy.
Well, I thought your volume, your voice, your eye contact were really good. You had a nice clear preview and a nice clear thesis. And I liked how in the end you did give constructive alternatives to express anger. I think what you do need to watch out for is your body language and your body movement, because you were moving from side to side and that was a little distracting. And you don't really have too many hand gestures because you're holding onto the cards. But otherwise, your content was good and you were very clear.
All right, it's an interesting topic. I think your goal's clearly stated. You need more of a structure that you're setting up, but the internal structure is actually very clear. So there's no preview, but you've got a body that's fairly easy to follow. You've created these divisions yourself, which is perfectly fine, but I think you need to show that there's a reason that those divisions exist, and there's not really much proof on those points, except for occasional vague references to hypothetical examples. The one place where there seemed to be some data that you're making a reference to is the physical effect that anger can have on the body, but you don't even cite the sources for that material. You start talking about cortisol levels and people getting ulcers and those kinds of things, and I'm sure that there's some source that you got that information from, but it doesn't make its way into the speech. So I think that that part is underdeveloped a little bit. I think you need a clearer explanation of the solutions that you're talking about, especially when it comes to the way people express anger, and you're suggesting that they do it in a particular way, and I think that you've got the right idea here, but explaining that idea needs a little bit more development here. And I would agree with most of what Kathy said about the presentation. The gestures are limited.